Hello, my name's Paul Elliott. I'm president of Asset Services. It's a dark, warm December day, and we just finished doing a playground inspection. It's not as late as it looks. It's only about 5 o'clock. But I wanted to take a minute to talk about playgrounds, playground surfacing specifically. I think there are a lot of questions that people don't know to ask that they should ask. So it's not really a frequently asked question because I think people don't know what they don't know. So if you want to learn more, this video is for people who want to learn more about playground surfacing, keeping the playgrounds at their schools and communities safer, and how testing can help with that. So first off, the first question I guess you should ask is, are there safety standards for playground surfaces? The answer to that is yes. The primary safety standard is ASTM F1292. That's for impact attenuation of playground surfacing. That applies to all playground surfacing. The next thing you may want to know is, might want to ask is, well, what does that test measure? ASTM F1292 measures Gmax, which is G in terms of acceleration of gravity. So it's basically the maximum deceleration, or you can consider it the maximum impact force during the impact. It also measures HIC, a property called HIC or HIC. HIC stands for head injury criteria. That criteria has been developed. It uses the entire impact curve, not just the maximum value. It reports a severity index. So how severe the impact is, how likely it is to cause an injury, and how likely it is to cause different severities of injuries. Those are the two properties in ASTM F1292. The next question you might ask that would be important is, what kind of impacts does F1292 look at? ASTM F1292 is strictly head impact testing. All of the device and all of the math has been developed based on the geometry of young people's heads, based on the math and the data collected from cadaver tests during the 1960s by the automotive industry. So what that means is that the data from F1292 won't tell you that it won't prevent long bone fractures like your arm or leg. It doesn't simulate impacts with your hand, and it doesn't prevent neck injuries or spine injuries. It's purely a head impact test. So the next question is, well, what do these results tell us? First off, ASTM F1292 sets maximum limits, sets a Gmax of 200 Gs and an HIC maximum of 1,000. Playgrounds are not to exceed that value. If they do, then the playground fails. But what does 200 and 1,000 mean? Those two levels are adopted really to prevent fatalities. So while we say they prevent injuries, and it does prevent injuries, if the specification allows the surface to be put in at the maximum Gmax and maximum HIC, then it does increase the chance of injuries if you pick the lower number. Lower values of Gmax, lower values of HIC are associated with reduced chances of injury and reduced injury severity. The next question is probably, do I have to have my surface tested? The reality is, in North America, there are some states and some governments, local, Canada has different rules, but some places do mandate that new playgrounds be tested. Many places, like where we sit today in the Midwest, do not mandate that new playgrounds be tested. So the question is, do you have to have it tested? It depends on where you live. So the next question is, should you test? And we believe you should test. We believe number one is the best quality control test out there. It measures everything that's been done. It makes sure every property has been done to spec. Number two, it is the best assurance you have that you will get the amount of material that was specified. It's very easy on a lot of playgrounds, on a lot of materials, to give you a half an inch less material. Maybe on a loose pour wood fiber, wood mulch, maybe a couple inches less. It's very easy to get less. They look the same. They feel good, about the same when you walk on them. Testing is the number one way to learn whether or not you got the material you paid for. That maybe you may not get the material. Perhaps a contractor is shorting it on purpose, and perhaps contractor made an honest mistake. And we've had that happen where a contractor grabbed the wrong screed. Nonetheless, if you grab the wrong screed and you put in the wrong amount and your GMAX and Hicks levels are higher than they should have been, your playground is not as safe as it should be. Number two, the next question, I guess, is when does that standard apply? Does it only apply to new playgrounds or older playgrounds? The truth of the matter is the limits in F1292 apply to the playground for the entire life cycle. At no point does it allow your playground to have more than 200 Gs. And at no point does it allow your playground to have more than 1,000 Hicks. So while you test your new playground, if you want to ensure future compliance, you need to schedule routine tests, not necessarily every year, but on an ongoing basis to see when your playground starts to fail. That is what this facility has done. They've said we have an aging playground. We want to know what we have. We want to figure out where we are in terms of its life cycle so that we can budget repairs or replacement. That's what's going on here. So it applies at all times. So I'm not going to go into detail in how we do the tests. It's too dark. I can't take the videos that are good videos. We finished the testing. It got darker faster than we expected it to today. But today, I hope in this video, you learned a little bit about playground safety. You learned how it applies to playgrounds. This applies to all public. That standard applies to all public playgrounds, whether they're at your school, in your community parks, or somewhere else. So if you want to make sure the students in your school are safe or at your community are safe, testing new playgrounds is the first start, and followed up periodic testing to ensure they still comply is the next stage of testing. And it helps you maintain a safe facility, and it helps you do repairs when you need to, and it helps you replace the products when you need to. So I hope you learned a little bit about playground testing today. We'll do some more videos in the future, and hopefully we'll get a video when there's daylight that will show you how the test is performed. Thank you for your time. If there's anything you have questions regarding playground safety testing, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be glad to work with you. We'll be glad to answer the questions and try to make you more educated on the topic so you can make better decisions.